But Ryan, wrapping up hour number one with the question of, is the modern game worse than what it was back in the 2000s? Now, again, I don't know much about soccer in the 2000s, at least the early 2000s. Yeah, I watched a little bit of the U.S. men's international side, but outside of
Oh,
that,
that was a great watch.
don't really have a lot to hold on to. So, what was it that you wanted to discuss, or that you think is the biggest difference between what we saw in the game maybe a couple of decades ago and what we see out of it now?
First off, real quick, it's my little cousin Ronnie's birthday today. Happy 10th birthday to you, Ronnie. I hope you have a wonderful day. You get a couple of
10th, Ronnie.
horns. But no, basically, I saw this tweet from Mark Goldbridge. Again, I think he's really funny. Man United fan, but he's a regional Manchester United fan, which you don't find very often. But he sent this tweet out. He said, seriously, go back and watch the Prem games between 96 and 04 and compare it to now. Quicker, more dribbling, more worldies, more risk. Just a much better watch. We've been conned by this modern way of playing. And then obviously everyone knows Arsenal fan and everything. And what I have watched over the recent months is the same thing over and over again. And if I go back to years ago, a couple of years ago in the 20s here, it's the same thing. And then when I go back to like when I first started watching soccer in the late 2010s, I know that tweet is from 96 to 94 and all that, but even in the 2010s, there's still something. The game of soccer is so robotic nowadays, and I blame 2010 Spain for that because the way that they played was so unbelievable, and everyone wanted to copy it. It's almost like when Steph Curry learns how to shoot threes, everybody wants to shoot threes and just chuck them up. Newsflash: you ain't Steph Curry and you ain't Klay Thompson. It ain't always gonna translate. Just like
Yeah.
nobody is the Spaniards. That's what makes soccer so great. Is there's so many different countries in this world that play a different brand of style. That's what makes it the beautiful game. But what I'm getting at here is Pep Guardiola instituted, one of the most beautiful brands of soccer and at Barcelona and now Man City and Bayern Munich. But now that is translating to everybody, and it's gotten to the English game, and everyone is doing the same thing because it's so robotic. But if you go back to when Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger were the managers of the big clubs, it wasn't necessarily like that. It was a lot of taking risks. It was a lot of, trying to dribble past a couple of players like a Messi does. I know not everyone can do that, but it's so robotic now. It's like based off you're basing everything off of movements of other players and everything. You're not being creative. It's not risk everything like the goated 2014 ad said back in the day. Risk everything. It's not that anymore. People took risks. People took shots from 30 yards out. They took volleys from outside the 18 all the time. Now we get it. It's like you're frowned upon if you take a shot outside the 18 unless it's a free kick. And it's so frowned upon now, and it's the same. You can turn on a Premier League game every single week, and you can watch 5 games back to back to back to back, and you will realize that you're watching the same game, just maybe a little bit less talent. That's all it is. And it's always, we got to play out of the back. Let's connect with a couple of midfielders. Oh no, let's go back. Keep the ball. Keep the ball. Your wingers, you have to have an overlapping run. Wingers, you can't take a shot from just outside the 18 anymore. You've got to find that pass inside the box. It's pass, 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 pass. Death by 1,000 passes. That's what Spain ruined, and that Spain team was so good. I don't want to discredit that, but it's so robotic. We're so stuck up on like you can't risk the ball. You can't lose the ball. You have to keep it. We have to play a numbers game because, granted, if we're based off the numbers, the more you keep the ball, the better chances you are to win the game. And that's, in theory, that's correct. But soccer is such a weird sport where the best team doesn't always win. You can have more possession and more chances, but all it takes is one chance for one team to score a goal. And I just say it like this, and to wrap up my point here is it's just the same thing over and over and over again. Nobody takes risks. Every team is set up the same way, maybe a couple minor adjustments, and it's just the same thing. It's almost like just robots out there. And to a certain point, like if I'm a neutral fan of like I don't really have a team or anything, I would understand that and see it from that lens. But obviously, I'm a diehard fan, and obviously, I'm gonna tune in my team. But if I don't have a team and I watch a couple games, it's just the same thing over and over again.
I once heard someone describe the evolution of sports, or maybe the de-evolution, depending on the way you want to look at it. And this pertains to soccer slash football. This pertains to every other sport, and I'll give you examples here shortly. It's a battle of the romantics, which is what I would call the old school fans, and the nerds, which is what I would call the new school fans. The romantics like the sports because of the romanticism of it, creativeness, more dribbling, as you talked about, more of a willingness to take risks, more of a willingness to do the bold things and try and make plays. And we saw that a lot, right? Decades ago, we saw that a lot. But now we're getting into an era of the sport where analytics is what drives everybody. It's what drives everything in sports. We look at the numbers so much, and it doesn't really matter what it looks like so long as you are winning games. It doesn't really matter, but we go by what the numbers show us. And so I don't know if soccer is much in the same way at the professional level that we've seen in other sports here in the United States, but that has been, in my estimation, that has been the evolution across the board. We've gone away from the romantic side of things, which is go out, be creative, make plays, just, versus now we're really heavy into the analytics. American sports examples, basketball. You can say that you don't like the Steph Curry era of everyone shooting 3-pointers and going that way. But listen, 3 is worth more than 2. Okay, if I'm a better 3-point shooting team than the other team, also, if I can find quality looks in the first 5 seconds of a shot clock, those are the most efficient looks that you're going to get. That's what the analytics shows us. Yeah, okay, it's not sexy. It's not half-court basketball with Charles Barkley in the middle and back-to-back and banging down low. That's not efficient. That's not efficient. And also the rules have changed. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But the 3-point ball, if you can hit it more than the other team, you're gonna win the game. Like that's the same thing with home runs in Major League Baseball. No one cares about strikeouts anymore. No one's laying down bunts. If you go out and strike out 3 times a game, so what?
Unless you're the
If
Tigers.
you hit a home run, that's a great day. If I go 1 for 4 with a homer and 3 strikeouts, that is a great day in baseball. But the analytics show us, who cares about the other 3 ABs? Did you just get 3 runs on 1 swing? Good. You just flipped the entire game. This is, I think, really across the board. It is, again, it's just this battle of now teams are looking at, and maybe soccer is the same exact way. What do the analytics show us? Like in these certain situations, in these formations, and what we're doing, what do the analytics tell us that we need to do in this situation in order to win? And that, again, that can come in a variety of ways. So you already talk about Liverpool and how or not Liverpool, Arsenal, and how great they've been on set pieces this year. I mean, is that creative or brilliant or, taking risks or anything? No, but they're taking advantage of their free ones. And analytically speaking, you're supposed to be able to do that. And it's going to help you win games. So yes, to some people, I think it is boring to watch. And I think, the thing is about technology and numbers and stats and analytics is if you get too far into them, it can take away from the enjoyment of the game. Because then you just start doing things that you're like, so what if so what if AI told you to do that? Like that, let's not do it because the game is actually better without it. But that's just not the way it works now.
Look, computers don't win championships. People win championships.
Oh yeah, players win championships.
Coaches.
Yeah.
I think it's a good.
Being individually brilliant is never going to go out of style. If you can go out and get it, you can go out and get it. Like that's still going to be a part of it.
It's good. It's good to see. I think it's a good recommendation of the. I think the numbers can help with recommending certain things and like, oh, what do the numbers say? Let's maybe base it off that. But to win championships, I can't tell that numbers have ever won a Super Bowl, a Premier League, a Champions League, a World Cup. I honestly, I don't know. And quite frankly, if I'm looking at, it's called the beautiful game. That's what it's called. And it's not quite as beautiful anymore. It's kind of like mid in terms of that. I'm not saying soccer is this unenjoyable sport because it 100% is enjoyable to watch. But when I look back if I look back 10 years ago and I look at the top 10 goals from a month or a top 10 goals from a season, and I look to last year, the year before, or this year, and the top 10 goals from a month or a season, it is so vastly different. And it's almost like we are putting players now, creative players, and that's why some South Americans flame out when they go to Europe, and especially in the Premier League, is we are just putting players in boxes. We are just putting them in a box. Why is Messi
Mhm.
one of the best players in the world? And not one of, but Messi the best player of all time? It's creative. He goes on his own. Some of his goals are humanly impossible.
Yeah.
There was a sport, remember Sports Science back in the day on ESPN?
I
Remember
do.
that?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
They his goal, I think it was against Atletico Bilbao. Humanly impossible that he scored based on like the numbers and everything. But you know what Messi did? Why he's the GOAT? He went out there and said, F it. I'm going to put my balls on the table and dribble past 5 or 6 players and score one of the greatest goals of all time. Do you honestly think the numbers in the national championship game from your guys, the Indiana Hoosiers, Kurt Signetti, looked at it and said the numbers said QB draw up the middle against one of the best defenses in the country? Nah. Signetti said, F it. Let's go QB draw straight up the middle. And Fernando Mendoza, who is not a real person, just put his body in the line and scored an unbelievable touchdown, and that touchdown will go down in the history of college football. Numbers don't win you championships. The
They guide
players
your
and the coaches
decisions,
and your
though.
game plan do.
No, I get it. The players win it, but the numbers guide your decisions. That's what I'm saying. Like we're in an analytic driven sports world
That's
now.
so dumb. Like, guys, it's
That's
not
how it works, man.
what we go for it here because the numbers say so. No, go with your
Yes.
gut.
Why
For
do
a
you
damn
think
change.
why do you think more teams are going for it on fourth down across the
Because
NFL
Dan
now?
Campbell set it up.
No, it's because the analytics tell you that you should.
And
Because
does it
if it's
work out
fourth
for a
down
lot
and
of
half a
teams?
yard,
Honestly, does it
for the
work for a
Eagles
lot
it
of
does.
teams? No,
For the
it
Eagles
doesn't.
it does with the push.
That's a
For the
totally
Lions, I think
different
it
thing.
did. I
And
think
the
for the
analytics
Lions it
didn't
did
set
for a
that
long
up.
time.
The
For the
analytics didn't
Lions, I
set
think
that up. They created a play. And now everyone
no,
wants
but
to create the play. And then they realize that our quarterback doesn't squat 555 pounds. And we can't
yeah,
do it successfully. And then we have Saquon
yeah,
Barkley who squats like 700 pounds and pushing him.
yeah.
That's why
You know
Jason
what
Kelsey
else?
hates the play. But did
You know
the
what else?
analytics tell you to tush push? No. Did
Probably.
did
What?
they
How
create? Did the
efficient is
analytics
that play?
create the tush push? Honestly,
No, but
no.
it probably tells you that QB sneaks, if run efficiently, are the most efficient play in the sport.
Did
Which I would agree.
if we're looking at the game of soccer, we don't have creative players anymore. We don't. We simply don't. It is pass, pass, pass. Maybe make a run here. In the box,
Yeah,
death by 1,000 passes. We no
yeah,
longer have the James Rodriguez, who was amazing 2014 World Cup of how he dribbled. Neymar is now like shunned because of the way he plays now. Like you won't see Neymar's anymore, and I don't even really like Neymar, but his flair, his style, unbelievable. We don't have Ronaldinho's anymore. We won't have Messi's anymore. Because look at Mbappe. Mbappe's in a box. Mbappe ain't creative. He's just fast. And he just runs. He ain't taking
yeah.
people on anymore. No.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking at the game, nobody does this anymore. And obviously, sure, numbers say stuff and what you should do, but the game of soccer is called the beautiful game. Look at the
Oh, I
Netherlands
agree.
in
I
total
agree.
football. Shout out Ted
Yeah.
Lasso. Look at Pele in the 50s. Unbelievable style. That's what started the beautiful game. And now it's just robots running around. It's not as fun anymore. Used to be called the beautiful game, and it's not that anymore.
I agree. I see exactly where you're coming from on that. But let's step aside.
And
We'll
speaking
get
of one of the
into our
beautiful games, this is one of the teams that set up the beautiful game.
yeah, Barca. Absolutely. The Barca Academy, proud sponsor of the National
So many good
Soccer
players.
Network. The official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States, designed for boys and girls ages of 6 to 18. Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. Scan the QR code on your screen and find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.